Hey, Kieran, what's up?
Julia, did you hear what they said?
No, what did they say?
Oh my gosh, I have to tell you right now. Meet me in the studio in 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm on my way. I'll see you soon.
Welcome back to That's What They Said, an educationally conversational podcast where we talk about all the things that aren't in the college brochure.
Is a dress.
What did I say?
Talk about.
Where we address all the things that aren't in the college brochure.
I messed it up last week. It's episode 8.
Season 2, episode 8.
8.
Me when I ate. Oh my gosh, wait, speaking of that, one of the artworks for Day of Giving makes me laugh because it's a blank thing that says, I gave. And I'm like, me when I gave.
It's giving.
Because it's literally like the blank background of like the map, and then it just says, I gave.
I like that.
And I was like, me when I gave. So that's what's making me laugh.
Would you like to start with your high-low buffalo?
I would. Oh.
Hey.
My mic's a little bit loud on my end, so no. On my volume.
Okay.
I have the thing turned up
Okay.
very high. That's on me. Let's recap. High-low buffalo. Low. My stomach was hurting all weekend this weekend. And like not a stomach hurt where it's like not like a sick stomach hurt. I just like I ate something to upset my stomach and it just got me good for the whole weekend. Like
that is so steep.
I didn't like throw up or anything. It just like ached. And I was like, all right. I'm really glad to be here.
Stomachache is so inconvenient because like you can't do anything about it. Like
Yeah.
you just have to sit with it.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of like sucks because like I was hungry, but like I was like, if I put food in my body, but then I was also thirsty, but I was like, if I have to sit up to go grab my water right now, and then I was tired because I hadn't ate, and it was just a full circle moment. So that was my low, as my stomach hurt. It just bothered me just enough. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it was just, it wasn't
you couldn't
like
ignore it.
Yeah, it was like not enough that I like didn't notice it was there, but it was like not enough to also like disable me. So it just really got me good.
Yeah.
My high is that I had a great weekend at UNC this past weekend.
Good.
I celebrated one of my newfound friends' birthdays so Thursday I went and played volleyball for the first time in like 3 years at an open gym at UNC. So sorry to all my NC State people, go Pack. And I had a ton of fun. It was my first time playing and I actually like did okay. Like I held my ground. Like there was a couple times where I like got a really good like dig or like a save and everybody was like, I was like, who did that, guys? Who did that? Oh wait, that was me. And then I celebrated the birthday, and then I like hung out with a bunch of my friends who go to UNC or just like came up to UNC on Saturday, and then we went to brunch on Sunday, and then I came back. So it was a really good weekend. In my buffalo, I did a lot of driving this weekend because I kept going like back and forth to stuff.
Oof.
I think I easily drove a total of like 4 hours between the weekend, which like really isn't that bad spread out, but it was just like,
but it adds up when it's like multiple drives.
Like I think I drove like an hour and a half on Thursday, and then on Friday I drove another 45 minutes. Well, I drove 45 minutes to UNC, but then I also had to drive to my house. That's like another 20 minutes. Like it was just like a lot of driving. It wasn't bad driving or hard, but it was just like just a lot of driving.
Yeah,
So,
it'll get to you.
I did fill up my car with gas on like Friday, like a full tank. It's actually at the halfway mark.
Yep.
And POV, my car can hold like 400 miles worth of gas. So if that tells you anything, I've done a lot of driving. But it's also because the traffic has been ridiculous.
It has.
Now, riddle me this. Picture this. It's 11:30 on a Thursday night, and I'm getting on the exit to I-40.
I don't know.
Whatever highway that it is that gets you from UNC to State. That one.
Yes, that's that one.
Yes. And the cop car is in the exit across the whole thing flashing lights.
Oh.
And so I'm literally just sitting there, like, parked behind it. And I was like, did I just walk into a crime scene? Or, like, and I was, like, texting Sarah, and I was like, so, me and I might not go home tonight. Like, I might just be sleeping here. And she's like, we'll just, like, back up and, like, leave. And I was like, so there's going to be a line of cars behind me, and I'm, like, in the turn. Like, I'm in the middle of the turning.
Right.
So that was really cool. And then an accident happened on the way to my parents' house on Friday.
It's true.
Which was really great because what was supposed to be 15 minutes turned to 30.
That's true.
But anyhow, yeah.
But anyhow, in terms of my high-low buffalo, I would say hi. I went contra dancing Saturday night.
Woo!
And I brought Blakey with me.
How was that?
And Precious. I love that man.
What a guy.
He's so sweet. He's just so sweet. He's just so sweet. And I told him that we were going to get married, right?
Oh, you did not tell me this.
Oh, well, me and Blake are going to get married, right? And so, right. And so we talked about what we want our wedding to look like and what our kids are going to call Cleo as a gender neutral term for aunt or uncle.
And we settled upon.
Well, he texted Cleo. So I don't know. It was a conversation between them. But
as a sibling, if I ever got the text, hey, what do you want me and my friend who we are not together, but we're going to get married, by the way, to call you when we have children.
How about that? I love him so much. He's so precious. And he always, I was at this contra dance, and it was a blast, by the way. Lots of things occurred, I feel. But, well, and let me tell you something.
I was going to say, a lot of things occurred.
And let me
tell me what occurred.
And let me tell you something. So, you know that guy that I dance with, and he's the one that, dips me and almost kisses me?
Yes, with the hat.
With the hat, yes. Yes.
He's kind of scary.
Yeah, he's just, I, sometimes can't get a read on him. But he asked me to dance at this dance, and I said, well, sure. Oh, also, I have something to say after this. But he asked me to dance, and I said, okay, yeah. So we were dancing. Well, we were waiting for the dance to start, and I was like, oh, it's bedtime. It was 9 p.m. And he was like, what are you talking about? And then he turned my wrist upside down, and he was like, look, it's only 6 p.m. And I was like, wait, you look, you have a point.
You're so right.
Yeah, and he was like, well, I'm going out with some people after this. You should come with us. And I was like, I just said it's bedtime. What makes you think I'm going to go out after this? Plus, I had little Blakey with me that I didn't take home because he's a sleepy little baby. So I was like,
with all the love and care in the world, no.
Right, thank you for the invite, but also it's the middle of the night right now. And he was
not even 10 p.m.
He was like, okay, but you have to come next time, okay? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then we danced, and it was lit.
Sure.
And I love dancing with him. He's a really good dancer. And then at the end, he's like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? And I was like,
yeah.
And he was off to the side, and I was like, okay, I'm scared. And he was like, it's okay. And I was like, it's okay. It okay. You're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to say there's nothing to it's
that actually gave me bad. He actually gave me the work.
The work. You want to give me the work? Yes.
The ick.
Yes.
Sorry, guys.
Well, he pulled me aside, and I was like, wow, I've never been more scared in my life right now.
This is where I die.
Right. And he was like, so I need to tell you something. And I was like,
he's confessing feelings.
No.
What?
I know, that's what I thought. Well, it still could have gone that way, but it didn't. He was like, so at the last NC State dance, I told you a small lie. And I said, what was it? What was the lie?
Is he a criminal?
Oh, no, he's like, so I told you I was a graduate student, and I'm not. And I was like, okay. And he was like, I just wanted to use my student ID to get into the dance for the discount. And I was like, I get it, because I also am broke. But then I was riding home, and I allowed it to kind of resonate within my heart, and I said, I don't like being lied to. That kind of hurt my feelings.
First of all, why were you getting pulled to the side for this?
I know. He could have just been like, hey, or he could have just not told me, and it would have been fine.
Well, I also
appreciate it.
Yeah, but also that would have been something that I would have just said immediately. I would have, if I did that, I would have been like, I can't even lie to you. I did use my student ID, and I'm actually not a grad student anymore. I just, am not in a position where I'm looking to you spending $15. And I would have been like, haha, so funny, so real, but also,
but also right, but but I also appreciate it because he was like, look, I really like you and I respect you as a part of our dance community, and I just felt like I really needed to tell you this. I've been thinking about it ever since then. And I was like okay,
so he definitely likes you a little bit.
He's almost kissed me, so
well,
but
that doesn't mean anything in this day and age.
No, I know that's right. Yeah, I know that's right. Lord have mercy.
I missed the podcast. I missed it.
Well, good.
Guys.
Distance makes the heart grow fonder is what they always say.
Yeah. I actually been saying that a lot recently. I don't really know why, but
it's because I always say it.
Well, that'll do it.
Okay, and another thing that occurred was, guys, you know how last podcast I was talking about how there's this baddie mandolin player, and he played for us in the last band. And I talked about it at the end of the episode, and I do him so bad.
Because he's 30 or whatever.
He's not 30.
Oh, I thought you said he was 30.
Well, he could be, but I'm really hoping that he's not.
Oh.
But picture this. He was there last night, obviously.
Sure.
But he wasn't playing. He was dancing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, huzzah. And I wasn't going to ask him to dance because he's bad and I was too scared. And, which is not something that occurs to me when I dance. Like, usually I just ask anybody I want to dance, but he's bad. And so, but I got into this conversation with this guy that I'm friends with named Pat. He's like, I don't know, probably like 75, and he got his master's in accounting, so we were talking about accounting, and he was like, well, here's how you approach an accounting problem. You have the accounting, and I was like, thank you, I've already taken accounting. But then I talked to him for 15 minutes about accounting because I just like, I wanted him to feel like I was interested in what he had to say, you know, because love Pat. Anyway, and so this mandolin player walks up and he's like, hey, do you have a partner for the next dance? And I said, no. And he said, would you like to dance? And I said, well, yes. And so then we danced and it was so fun. He's such a good dancer. And he was like, so how long have you been dancing? And we like chatted and it was a great time and we were laughing and giggling and he was doing all these fun twirls that I was like, wow, you're bad. And
life is worth living.
Life is worth living. And also, do you remember me telling you that I matched with a contrabaddy on Hinge?
Yes, and then he was going to be at the dance.
And he was. And picture this, one thing about me at this point, I have been initiated into the popular group of contra dancers. So if you want to dance with me, you kind of have to get to me kind of early. Yeah. Because people ask me to dance like in the middle of the dance that happens before or 2 dances before. So anyway, so he like finally catches me because I've been seeing him out of the corner of my eye, but also I don't have my glasses on. So I'm like, is it him? You know? Yeah. And like, I like low-key think he's like watching me, but I'm like, I don't know. But then, he asked me to dance, and I said, yeah, okay. TV. And then we dance, and it's a litastic time, and I enjoy dancing with him. Okay. Yes, it was a sleigh. And then, because when we were messaging before this, I was like, I want you to contra dance with me, and I want you to waltz with me. Right. And then we didn't end up waltzing because I have other people that I have to waltz with, you know. Right. And so I only ended up dancing with him the one time, but like, you know, whatever, like we chatted a little bit, whatever. It's fine. Like, you know, he's bad. And then as I was leaving, because Blake, he had to go to sleep because he's a little baby. Yeah. So we had to leave a little early. And so as we were leaving, I walked by the baddie and I was like, you should, like, I like patted his leg and I was like, he should DM me on Instagram.
His leg? Oh, he's sitting down?
He was sitting down.
Oh, I was like, the back of his... I thought you were like patting the back of his calf. I was like... that's an interesting I'm, like, choice of placement. Like,
hey, you should go ahead and...
You're like really like getting his ankles.
Like, no, please. But then he DM'd me on Instagram. We had a whole conversation. But he's bad. And he's a good dancer, so...
that's 2 very big boxes checked off.
Yeah, boxes. But anyway, you know how it goes, you know, and I just chatted with my girls. It was a fun time. And I like, guys, I know I talk about it a lot, but I just love country dancing so much, and I'm like so proud of myself for becoming such a big part of like the community around here. Like
people know who you are.
I know it. I love it. Like
you're like, famous.
I know. I used to be, guys, before I started dancing, I used to be so shy. Like before you knew me, I was so shy, like painfully shy, like never talked to anyone. But now I talk to everybody, and I get paid to talk. So, you know, but like now when I dance, I like talk to so many cool people, and like it is like kind of weird when you're first starting to dance and you have to like be like face to face with someone like that and be like, you know,
hey, how's it going?
Hey, what's your name? Like
what brings you
awkward. Here? Yeah, right. Come here often. But yeah, I don't know. So dancing has been very good for me, and you guys should all try it, and you should all probably come to my dance on March 29th. It's going to be pretty lit, and I hope to see you there. In terms of low, I have 2 exams this week.
Yeah, I have an exam today that I haven't studied for yet. So
it's true. I have my people analytics exam tomorrow, and I haven't studied for it. But we do get 1 sheet of notes, but we have to handwrite it.
I kind of like handwriting notes. I
do
like in like segments of time. I don't like necessarily like cranking those out, but
right. If I'm in a rush, I don't like handwriting. But if I have time, then I like to handwrite. I prefer to handwrite.
It's very therapeutic.
Right. And then I have a religion exam on Thursday morning. Oh, and then I have an online interview today, and then I have an in-person interview that's an hour and a half away on Friday. So catch me driving down the road at 8:30 in the morning. Yes.
I take it we're not going to the gym on Friday.
Well, I'll be back.
I'll be back.
I'll be back. And in terms of Buffalo, hypothetically, theoretically, potentially, maybe, possibly, I have a cat in my room. And it's not my cat. I'm cat sitting for my friend, hypothetically. Not really, hypothetically, though. And hypothetically, I did put that cat in a tote bag and hypothetically walk it all around campus and hypothetically bring it into the studio where there is a AI-generated picture of the cat in the studio, hypothetically.
Yes, very AI theoretical.
Yes, and hypothetically,
let me see if I can
she
find a
smells
photo.
Delicious. She's so sweet.
Look
and
at this.
Hypothetically, she wakes me up at 6:30 in the morning just because she wants to hang out with me.
Look at this replica photo I edited of the cat in your room.
No! She's so curious.
Can you see it?
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah. Oh.
Hey.
Yeah, dude. Or hypothetically, her name is Dobby, but I call her Doobie.
Yay!
Doobie.
I love the way that she's just like...
She's like
stands
arched up on her back feet when she hears somebody walk by, hypothetically, and she looks. She's like, because I had Josa over yesterday to hang out with via the cat.
Hypothetically,
to hang out with me, my animatronic cat, and
my wooden stuffed, not real cat.
Right, and every time she would hear a noise, she'd be like, oh.
The sound box would go off.
Yes,
on the battery operated cat.
Right, and hypothetically, she meows so freaking loud, and I'm like, bro, I'm gonna get in trouble if any of my sweet mates rat me out or rat you out. Oh my god! But I love her hypothetically, and hypothetically she's so cute and nasty, and it
needing to see that cat again.
Yeah, it brightens my day when I just hypothetically
maybe this
see her.
week instead of going to Tally to do homework, we go to your dorm.
Okay,
so we can hang out with the cat.
Yeah, hypothetically. So the meat of the pod today is
I'm at a point where we know. I'm starting to name the document random things.
It's true. We're talking about Spring Bach, which is next week. Sprake.
I don't like the term sprake.
Well, because I feel like it's spreek.
I also like Hollow Weekend is one thing, sprake is another.
I feel like spring break sounds more fun than spreek.
Well, and also we don't call winter break wake.
Right. Hello.
Or, yeah, it's winter break, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wake. We don't call summer break sake.
It's true.
Swake.
Yeah.
Suave. I don't know. It just... whatever, see if I care. For spring break, I have really exciting plans. I am going to be going to work. Yeah.
Right.
All of my friends are going places.
True.
I'm not going anywhere. And I'm low-key kind of upset about it because PUV, I have one more spring break left, college spring break. And I literally haven't gone anywhere for spring break ever. So
I think it's okay.
Hoping to do something. Potentially might be going to the beach.
Yeah, I thought you were going to Wilmington the second weekend.
Still haven't been confirmed whether or not I'm actually going to that.
Right.
But theoretically, I might be going to Wilmington for a couple of days. I do not know. I hope I do because I'd love to swing by Rudy. I'd love to get a couple minks in.
Big. My mommy said that maybe she might hypothetically drop Rudy off at my dorm for a weekend sometime. Hypothetically.
Stop, actually?
Yeah, but Rudy's so big, she'll take up the whole room, y'all.
Rudy can stay with me. Rudy can stay with me. Please. Oh my gosh, please.
Big 'em.
Tell Mrs. Larson, if you're listening, please drop Ryan off at my apartment complex.
Nasty.
Please, I'm begging. I will cat sit for as long as you need me to.
I love Rudy.
As long as you need me to.
I love Rudy.
Forever and always. I am a built-in cat sitter. I have been cat sitting. I have great qualifications. I start listing my resume. In 2018, I've cat sit many a times before. Please.
Rudy's been so brave lately. She's been spending all night outside.
Wow.
She's been so brave.
Oh my goodness.
She's been outside. Yes. So brave. She's shedding because it's almost summertime.
Yeah.
And Rudy he's got a lot of fur. So you got to chase her around and get her. And you really got to get her pants because that's where most of the shedding comes because she has pants on, obviously. Yeah. And her like pants comes out in like tufts.
Oh, yes. The dogs, my poodles, they come out and like they don't shed because they're poodles, but they do like every now and then give like little fluffs, but it's like a little ball of like floofs that get stuck to you.
And it's like so soft.
It is. It's low-key like maybe, well, how do I say this without sounding weird, but like wool?
Yeah. Because they're low-key like sheep hair.
They low-key like sheep.
They stink.
Every now and then I get reminded of the nonchalant animal trend, and it makes me laugh so hard.
Sometimes I listen to our old episodes, like the first few, and we did an episode where we did like the nonchalant animals.
So blub or whatever.
Yeah.
Like blub or something.
I
love nonchalant animals. Yeah, so I'm not really doing much for spring break. But I am excited to like not have to do any schoolwork. Is there schoolwork I could be doing? Probably. I'm not doing it. Like I need this break more than you'll ever know. It's actually probably pretty obvious. But so I will just be working because I still need to get paid. LOL. But on that note, there will also be no new podcast episode next week. Don't get mad. And there also wasn't one last week. So we're doing well.
It's true.
What about your plans?
I will be.
Yeah.
I am hypothetically cat sitting this cat until Sunday.
Right.
So I'll be here until Sunday. And I'm going contra dancing Saturday night.
Woot.
Or Friday night. I don't know.
At
one
some
of those
point.
nights. Yes. And then I will go home on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then I will just be home, and I'll go to the beach, and I'm going to do some craft. I need to sew some stuff for the Contra thing on the 29th. I need to make a banner.
Oh, you need to bring me a check so I can pay for the last dance.
Oh, this is true. So. It's true. And hanging out with Rudy, hang out with Frank, because he's nasty, and going to all my dance things that I go to when I'm home, you know.
Are all your friends coming back for spring break?
No. Oh. Because Em and Graham are in New York, and Cleo's going to Mexico. And
I didn't know.
Weeb doesn't have spring break.
Oh, I didn't know if Emma and Graham would come back, like if that's when the 10 days ended or not.
Well, it does, but then they have to go back to school.
Oh, they have a different break.
Yeah.
My bad.
Okay, but so Sunday night there's live bluegrass at Satellite, which is one of my favorite bars at home. And then Wednesday night sometimes there's Contra, and then Thursday nights Contra. There's an old time jam at Fermental, which is my other favorite bar at home. But there's also swing dancing lessons on Thursday nights. And then Saturday nights, there's usually a social dance of some sort. And there might be Latin dancing this Wednesday. I don't know. I'll have to look. But
lots of options.
Excited. Yeah. Oh, always options. I love going home and like being able to see my dance people from home because they don't know when I'm coming home. And I just show up to a dance and they're like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, hey, guys. Oh, also, you know Justin from my home dance?
Yeah.
Like, so he's
a blonde guy.
Yeah.
A dirty blonde or whatever.
Yes, he's so precious and nasty. I love him so much. But he is going to be meeting with my mommy this week to talk about maybe he starts working with my mommy because he's a therapist.
Wait, I vaguely remember because didn't they run into each other at the parking lot or something? And she was like, what are you doing here? And he was like, I work here. And she's like, that's weird because I work here.
Right. He like works at a different therapy place that's like in her same like
unit
vicinity,
or whatever.
Yeah, like building, I guess. But he's looking to leave that place, and so he's going to be talking to mommy about maybe joining my mommy's practice. And I love Justin, so I would really like that because he's so cute. He has this little hair that goes like dink 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 whenever he's dancing, and it's so.
He kind of reminds me of Flynn Rider.
Yes.
Like he has like the build of Flynn Rider.
He's sure nasty,
but blonde.
But blonde. So yeah, that's what I do for spring break, and then I'll come back here and lock back in. Back in.
Literally, the Monday after spring break is genuinely the worst 24 hours of your life.
I agree.
So
it's like the equivalent of like when you have to come back to school after Thanksgiving before Christmas.
Yeah. It is. Because we're like over halfway in the semester by that point.
Yeah.
Like, we actually only have a month left when we come back. Not even really.
Ludicrous.
3.5 weeks.
That is actually like what. Like what?
Spring semester has always gone by faster for me than fall.
I agree.
Thank goodness. Like, thank God.
No, I agree.
But it has always gone by faster for me. I also just, like, in my body and soul feel like it's shorter. I don't know why.
I don't know.
I think it's, like, maybe, like, a couple days shorter, but I don't think it's, like...
significantly.
Yeah.
Shorter. Yeah. I don't know. It's, going by real fast, which is kind of crazy because this is, like, our junior year, so we only have one more year.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of sad because, like, I've been kind of having a little bit of an existential crisis. Maybe not existential. Whatever.
Right.
I've been having a little bit of a midlife crisis. I wouldn't even call it a crisis, but just like dilemma ponder session that's lasted more than 10 seconds.
Right.
Of just like really sitting with the fact of how fast I'm going through college. Because like I feel like college is supposed to be this like monumental time of your life. And I feel like for me, college has just been like the next phase. But I feel like I've always looked at school as like the next phase as opposed to like where I am. And so I've like just treated it as a phase. And I'm like, okay, I just have to get through it and then I'll be done. Versus like taking the, like, I still live in the moment, but I don't know how to describe it. But someone was asking, I think it was Sarah. Shout out Sarah if you're listening to this, but I don't think you are. She was asking me, she's like, do you feel more? Because I'm 19, I'm turning 20 soon. And so she's like, obviously we won't be teenagers anymore. So do you feel more like an adult or do you feel more like a teenager? Like, where do you think you are in your life? And I said, I think I'm an adult without the responsibilities of like the age that I am. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think in almost all capacities of my life, I'm an adult and I'm functioning like an adult, except for the fact that I do make car payments. I don't pay taxes because I don't make enough money to pay taxes. I file it under my family though. I don't just like commit tax fraud. But or maybe I do pay. I don't really know how that works. If that's proof to how much of an adult I am. Can't rent a car.
Like, admit to like doing something illegal on the podcast. Yeah.
No, you know, I just a couple frauds, a couple felons. Yeah, like I don't know. It's like weird because I was thinking about it and like I will graduate college when I'm 20 years old. Like I will finish my undergrad at 20 years old. I will not even be legally allowed to drink, and I will have my college degree, and I will get my master's when I'm 21.
It's true.
I will finish my master's at 21 years old.
It's true.
And I'll be in the workforce.
The Bach Force.
The Bach Force. Which is very scary. I'm applying to grad school this year, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like I need to like slow down and like see the flowers or whatever the saying is.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Smell the roses.
Smell the roses. Yeah. There it is.
See those flowers.
I'm really going to put some eyes on them. I don't know. It's just weird. It's like a weird balance of, I want to keep moving through things because I just want to get to a point where I can work and just do my own thing. Mm-hmm. But also at the same time, like I kind of want to be stupid and like whatever, but I also do fun things. I also just like, I don't know. Right. It's a weird balance. It's a weird like middle ground. I feel like I'm like missing out, but it's also on things that I don't necessarily want to do. Like, do I really want to go to a frat party at 3 a.m. on a Thursday? No, but I feel like that's like a pivotal point for someone out there.
I have no desire.
No, like I have zero. Like I'm gonna not have that experience, and I think I'm okay with that. But also at the same time,
yeah. I mean, I think imposter syndrome is totally real, and being like, well, I should want to do this, and I should do this, like because I'm like in college, I guess. But I think that's BS.
I also feel like I'm not doing enough in terms of like diversifying the things I'm a part of. I'm a part of things like I'm a part of few things, but I'm just very largely a part of it, if that makes sense, versus like a lot of my friends are a part of multiple things. Like they are like they're doing multiple components to things in clubs and programs and studying somewhere or doing this thing that's like a week long and wherever and blah 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 blah, and I'm just like working 20 hours and film like obviously it's cool, but it's just like I feel like do I need to be like doing other things, like tapping into other resources? Like, am I diversifying myself enough, or am I just like treating college like the pre-work life? And is that bad?
I mean, I don't know. I think I wouldn't say it's bad, but I think there is value in slowing down and just being like, okay, let me, enjoy this and like sit with it, I suppose. Because like once you get to like the workforce, then you're going to be like, wow, I can't wait to retire. Yeah. So it's like you have to live in the moment. Because once you get to the 9 to 5, you're gonna be like, wait, this is great for like a month, and then you're gonna be like, so this is the rest of my life. Yeah. That's what's scary, is it really is the rest of life. Yeah. Like for me, I always treated school as the next thing because I never necessarily like disliked school, but I never like enjoyed the fact that I was like taking exams and constantly doing something, and that I was like in this cycle of like August through May or whatever. I was like
churning and burning, and then I was doing whatever for like 2 months and then going back to doing it again.
Balking and clocking.
Yeah, balking me when I balk and clock. I was listening to our Thanksgiving episode the other day when you were talking about all the different names you guys were going to do for Friendsgiving, where it was like balk and chop or whatever it was.
Oh my god.
Those were making me laugh.
Yeah.
Go check out that episode if you haven't. Yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely, so I've like definitely been living life in like the next phase, like the next part. Like I just have to get through this and then I'll go to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. But now I'm like kind of at the end of that. And so I need to like switch my mindset to like, let's take a sec.
Yeah.
Because I only got about 365 more days of this. So
yeah, I have that thought a lot. Like when I'm with my PCM friends and I'm like, I love you. Like when I'm hanging out with Blake and I'm like, you're a freshman and I'm going to only have one more year with him. And that is, and like, it's just so sad. And like next year when I'm doing all the trips and doing all the like annual things that we do, I'm going to be like, well, this is the last one. Never again will I be able to do this. And that's so sad. And like, I think about that with the Contra Club because I love it so much. And I like, it's just, I don't know. I just think it's the most fun thing ever. And it's so cool that I'm able to like be in charge of it and like host dances and stuff. And then I'm like, I only have one more year, and then I won't have it anymore.
It's going to be weird, like, walking out of the office for the last time and, like, filming a pod for the last time. And like,
because, like, suddenly our whole life, like, I feel like now my whole life is a lot of different components. But, like, once we graduate, we, like, won't have the pod anymore. We won't have the office. I won't have PCM. I won't have the Contra Club. Like, all of a sudden, all I have is my job, hopefully.
And I think it's hard too because it's like with college, like you can, everything's there, you just have to find it and then like be a part of what you want. Whereas like and it's like a concentrated place, like obviously campus is big, but like it's relatively like it's all in the same 5x5 square. Whereas in like when you graduate and you like go into the real world, at that point it's just like you can do in theory the same things, but now it's just on a much larger scale and you have to put a whole lot more work into it. And it's not like you don't have anything in common anymore outside of like the individual thing that you're going to whatever that thing is for, if that makes sense. And it's like you won't have those programs and those like stability components. And I feel like I'm just like talking in really vague terms.
Buzzwords.
A lot of adjectives, but
no, but I know what you're saying. And like also everybody always says once you graduate college it's very hard to make friends, and I agree, but I think people don't realize how many like community groups there are that you can go, like once you find like a hobby that you're interested in. Like obviously I'm interested in dance, and obviously I go to a lot of different random dance things, like not on campus. Like most of the dance, like all of the dancing that I do is off campus. Like I drive to Chapel Hill or Carborough to go dancing, or like when I'm home in Wilmington I go to like these bars that like I know that my friends will be at and I go dancing, or like I take classes at like a community center, you know, like it's like, and then I meet so many cool people and we become friends and we hang out and then we're like actually like besties. Like I've met like a lot of really awesome people that I'm like still like we're very close. So like there are ways to make friends. I think people just have forgotten, or like society has normalized not like going out and like doing community oriented things. Like it's so easy to just be
stay
like
home.
I like don't have any friends, and like just talk to people on like DM people on Instagram, and that's how you find your friends. But like bro, just go to an event that like you enjoy. Like if there's like a yoga class in the park, go to the yoga class in the park, and I guarantee you will meet some girlies to go get coffee with, and then you can be friends. Like it's really not that hard. I get
the first step is the hardest part.
The first step is the hard, like the first,
and it always will be in anything that you do.
Yes,
I think like we were kind of talking about this briefly, or you were saying like you used to be really introverted and now you're not. Like I was extremely introverted as a kid. I like an introverted extrovert. Like if I didn't know you, I wouldn't really say anything, but if I knew you, I would like talk a lot, which is, I think I still embody that a lot. It was just a lot worse when I was a kid, and like growing up, like genuinely until college is when I started, like, because I just got to a point where I realized that nothing was going to change if I didn't change it myself. Like unfortunately people just don't walk up to you and they're like, let's be friends. Like that, it just doesn't really happen that much. And so I like did it myself, and my friend Brady, I'm sure I've told this story, but in case I haven't, like genuinely I walked up to him and I said, and I quote, "Hey, can I sit here? I want to be your friend." And he said, "Okay." And he didn't believe me because we talked about it later, like once we were friends. And I was like, "What did you think when I just like walked up and asked to be your friend?" And he was like, "I didn't think like you were gonna come back. Like I just assumed it was like a first day, whatever. Because I like briefly knew who he was because my roommate at the time, friend from middle school and high school, was Brady's roommate. So I briefly knew who he was because I had met him once in passing.
Yeah.
And I genuinely just went up and said, hey, I want to be your friend. Can I sit with you? And now me and him are like best friends. So
it's true.
I mean, we kind of did the same thing. Although you definitely spearheaded that more than I did because I was really nervous, but I really wanted to be your friend. There is a time where I texted people in all caps whenever Julia would text me because I was like, guys, I might have made a friend.
Maybe. When I became friends with Frank, it was because I met him years ago at one of Emma's birthday parties. And then I got his number from Emma, and I texted him, and I said, hey, Frank, I love you. I want to be friends. Do you want to go to Tropical Smoothie on Wednesday? And this was, like, years ago. Like, we were both, like, I was probably maybe, like, beginning of freshman year of high school. And Frank, like, had to drive me everywhere because I couldn't drive, and like we ended up not going to Tropical Smoothie. Our first date was I made sushi, and then we had a picnic at the beach. And I said, I know this boy. This was before he was out. This was back when he was straight.
Yeah.
And I said, I know your truth. So I brought my binoculars and we looked at surfers.
Yeah.
Like we just watched surfers and because well, yes. And we ate sushi and it was so fun. And then now we're best friends. So yeah, but I can't remember what I was going to say. So
me and Brady's first time hanging out, he actually asked me to hang out.
Wow.
Very subtly. Or not like subtly, but he was just like, yeah, me and my friend are later going to go on a walk. Like if you want to join, you can, but like that's what I'm doing today. And I was like,
I don't know what you're up to, but what I'm up to is going on a walk.
And I was like,
you could probably walk at the same time in the same place like, if you want.
I was like, so are you asking me to go with you, or were you? I think I literally asked. I was like, are you asking me to come with you, or were you just wanting to tell me that you're going on a walk that's vaguely open to other people? And he had a camera, and we took his camera and walked around. He took photos, and then I befriended a grasshopper.
Stink.
Which is weird because I was so nervous that I don't like bugs. I don't like touching bugs, but I was so nervous and I wanted to impress people. The whole two people that were there.
Who's the other person?
Amy, not my mother.
Your mom?
That'd be crazy. His friend from high school.
Oh.
That I picked up this grasshopper and just held it in my hand. I think I named it Roger, I think. So there's just photos of me sitting with with a grasshopper in my hand.
Hey, Mike. I remember what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. Another benefit to joining groups and clubs and like community orgs that you like are interested in is that, okay, well, I'm trying to figure out how to explain this the best way. I am my best self when I am actively like dancing.
Sure.
I'm the happiest I ever am. I'm like the most chatty. I'm the most like pumped. I'm the most like...
You're in your happiest state.
Right. I'm the most motivated. Like you are catching me at like genuinely my best. Like I don't look my best. I could tell you that because I look I'm bright red and sweaty and my hair's sticking all out.
That's my goal in life, is to become someone who can aesthetically work out, like from an outside visual standpoint.
The answer is no. I cannot do that.
I can either.
But...
I was gonna make sure your feet weren't in frame.
Oh, well, I think that it's okay that if they are. But yeah, so I'm just saying like it's easy to make friends and attract people that will be healthy friendships when you are like
being who you are.
Yeah, like actively being at like the happiest and most fulfilled that you can be. Like, and that's when you meet people that are like so cool. Like, because also when I go to dance things, everybody else is also at their best because everybody else is so happy to be like. I just connecting with someone over like something that you love and that you both love, like you share that.
I think I definitely experience that like euphoria when I'm on a night drive. Every now and then, me and two of my like best friends will go on a drive at night with like the sunroof will be open or like the windows are down, and we'll have just gone to like Sonic and we just drive. Like we just get on 64 or like whatever major highway is nearest, and we just
name numbers. 88.1
when we go on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One thing about me is I have zero sense of direction.
Me
like
either.
I can navigate you, like I can follow a GPS like nobody's business. I can tell you like a oh yeah, if you go up, then you turn left, and then you look for this big shiny thing, and then you turn right, and then you go see the red flowers, and you go up. Like, I can do that, but if you're like, hey, what street do you live on? I have no idea. None. I could not tell you what street my childhood home was off of, or like what road.
And that's okay.
I know what my street name is, but like I have no idea what major road, because I'm like connected to like a semi-major street, and like I got nothing. What was I saying?
Night drive.
Oh yes, night drives. That's when I feel my peak. I feel like I love stargazing. Anything that lets me look at the sky at nighttime.
Anything
that allows for me, like laying on a picnic blanket looking at the stars, I'm down. Going on a night drive and just like enjoying the scenery in front of us, I'm down. Like going to a planetarium. I love the planetarium. Bring the planetarium back.
Ooh, I don't know that I've ever been to a planetarium.
I love the freaking planetarium, guys. I love the planetarium. When I was younger, because I was part of Girl Scouts and Y Guides, we would go sleep at the planetarium because they would do a lot of events or whatever. So I would fall asleep looking. They'd turn the dome into the constellations and like slowly move it so you could look at them. And then in the morning they would turn on like a accurate sunrise, and since it was the dome, it would like literally do the full like thing. And so that's how they would wake you up. And they would always play Here Comes the Sun. But it's so fun. I also love the aquarium. I feel very I've been talking to people about this because someone else was talking about the zoo, and like I love the aquarium. Like, I know it's meant for children, and I'm okay with that. I love looking at the sharks. I could sit and look at the sharks swim in the giant tank. I also get to sleep at aquariums a lot for Girl Scouts and Y Guides.
That's a classic Girl Scout.
Yeah. And so there's this one aquarium. I do not remember which location it is because they all sound the same to me. And it has like a literal floor to ceiling tank of a bunch of like sharks and fish and all sorts of stuff. But it's like genuinely 15 feet tall. Like it's a full moment. And I like would literally sleep right up against it. And so my entire view was just like watching the fish sleep. And
the dog and the cat.
The fish was home when I left.
You're right. No, I love the aquarium as well. Well, you know, the aquarium in Fort Fisher's, it's closed for 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
For, they're doing like this big like renovation add-on thingy. And they also had otters for a while, but then they sent the otters like to some other facility.
That's the one that's the closest to us, isn't it? Is Fort Fisher?
Yeah, it's like 25 minutes away from where I live at home.
Yeah, in Cure Beach.
Yeah.
Oh, it says it's open.
It's a lie.
Oh.
So, I love the aquarium.
I really do.
I really love the aquarium, and I really love
dancing,
ocean animals, and I really like
I would hope so, being that you have like 4 tattoos of them, or 3.
Yeah, guys, you want to see
Julia's outfit today? Like, you can see her tattoos on the side. We have the mermaid.
And I can't pull it down, but I have a manta ray and a stingray. Oh wait, you can't hear me. I can't pull my I'm wearing overalls, but I have a manta ray and a stingray underneath that, and I really love them. And stingray is my favorite animal, and I think jellyfish would be really squishy.
You're like the Moana grandma who will be born as the stingray, and I mean that the best way possible.
Yeah.
It's part of my bucket list this year to get a tattoo. This year is my year. I told myself that I wouldn't get a tattoo until I was 20 or 21.
Just do it.
But I'm going to this year. I really want to. I think I've talked about it before. I really don't remember. I kind of just talk, and then the amount of times I've been told, I know you told me that. Hey, sorry. I was just wanting to make sure that you were informed on the event. I really want a butterfly on the back of my neck. Or I really want a tattoo behind my ear. That'll probably be the first one I do, or like around the back of my ear, like on my neck. But yeah, I need to get a tattoo. Yep. You want to say the rest of that, or?
No, actually, because then I'll get in trouble again. I'm getting in trouble again, guys, because I said a bad word on the podcast.
A second time?
No, just
the first time. Are we at a Notes app place in the time, or where are we at in time?
Yeah, we could be at a Notes app place. Something that I have to share Notes app wise is that yesterday I had a baked potato for the first time in a while.
Love a baked potato.
Busting.
Love a baked potato.
I was at work. I was at youth group, and you know, like they have like parents that cook for the kids, and so I get to eat the food too. And they had baked potato, and they were like so salty on the outside. And I put so much butter and cheese on there, and I had some broccoli on there, and it was bust. And then I had real ice cream, and in my tummy hurt after that. But I had real ice cream with sprinkles on it. Oh yeah, it was really bust. And I had a good time with my girls. My kids, I miss them. I have not seen them in a while, so it's really.
Sometimes for dinner, I'll make chili baked potato. Really good.
Bring back baked potatoes because it's so convenient. You can just pop her in the
microwave.
In the microwave in
4 minutes.
Yeah, and it's
all done.
Busting.
Very easy.
Low-key, I'm thinking about just buying a bag of potatoes next time I go.
That's what I do when I grocery shop. Is I'll buy potatoes. I just have them always.
Bust.
I grew up in an ingredient household, so my pantry is also very ingredient-like.
Yeah.
But I think that also taught me how to cook in some ways because but it's also
I
had to. But also, it's definitely limited me in college because I'm so used to having all of the things that I can't just make food. Yeah. Whereas 90% of the time when I was home and I just saw something and I wanted to make it, we just had the stuff.
Yeah.
And we do not have the stuff in my apartment.
The genre of ingredients, it's kind of like spices or balsamic, vinegars, and that's stuff that is low key expensive that you only need a little bit at a time. So you build up your supply
collection
of those things over time, which is why mommies and daddies always have all the things because they're old, so they collect all those things. And we're young.
Maybe
we have no money.
Maybe don't put my parents in that category.
That's true. Your parents are really young. My parents are old though.
They don't like being called old.
Oh no, they genuinely are young.
They also are young.
Yeah,
early mid 40s.
That is my parents. My dad is 63.
Real.
What? Anyway.
Anyhow.
No tap.
Oh yeah, I actually have 4 North Sap. First of all, we were just talking about this right before we started filming. I think I'm having a stroke. I actually have not been able to pronunciate my words recently.
I had a scary experience yesterday.
Oh?
Not personally, I didn't have a stroke, but I was at work and we have youth advisors because I'm a youth ministry intern. We have youth advisors who are old, and those are my girls though. But anyway, my king sitting next to me, it was I walked in and he was shaking, and he could not stop shaking, and that's not normal for him. And I was getting so anxious. I was I'm about to have a panic attack because I don't know what's going on. Is he okay? Blah, blah, blah. And then he ended up having to go to the emergency room.
Oh my gosh.
And get all these tests done. And I was oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Terrifying.
Speaking of that, my neighbor from home, who was also the one who was my calc professor, who I grew up with, she had a brain aneurysm. They found it. She posted that she was vomiting and throwing up, and that her husband took her to the ER and they caught her with a brain aneurysm. And if she hadn't been sooner, she would have died of it.
That is ludicrous.
Because the scariest thing about brain aneurysms, POV, my mom's a nurse, and so this is her biggest fear, is that you don't know. There's no signs of it unless you're getting scanned for a brain aneurysm.
Yeah.
So it was...
It's really scary.
Yeah, it was very terrifying when, I saw that. Because, even though I don't talk to her on a daily basis, she's been, a huge part of my life academically, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, that was terrifying. But what I was gonna say...
Anyway,
that's a little less life-threatening is that I have bipolar egg disorder, in that sorry, just the way that I describe things sometimes makes me laugh. Yeah, I have bipolar egg disorder. I had never been one to love eggs. I don't think I've ever been ooh, I need an egg right now. Julia needs eggs right now.
I love eggs.
Loves eggs. I really have a hard time with them. They can be in things, but the amount of times that I just have 8 eggs, every time I go out to a breakfast place, I always ask for something else besides eggs because I don't eat them. I don't just eat eggs.
Always get eggs.
I do love an egg on, a fried egg on my breakfast sandwich.
Bust.
A bagel, a bacon, egg, and cheese.
What about an egg on a burger?
I've never had that.
Woo! It's good.
I have never had an egg on a burger. But, that's about the only time I ever just eat eggs, is if it's, a bacon, egg, and cheese.
Let me tell you, I've been craving a boiled egg. Okay.
I've never had that craving.
It's so, with some salt on the outside. Oh my gosh.
They have some at Tally Market, although I wouldn't really recommend eating them.
I need to be the individual to boil the egg. Other than that, I do not trust that. Because they have them in the dining hall for breakfast.
Yeah.
And that is terrifying. They're just floating in juice.
Oh, you're welcome to come over to my apartment and boil eggs if you want.
Thank you. That's really kind of you.
I was telling my friend the other day, Aiden, I was telling him, he was yeah, I need to meal prep, but I hate cooking. And I was King, if you buy the groceries, I'll meal prep for you.
Right.
I love cooking. I love cooking. I was bring me the stuff, I'll cook whatever you want.
It's fun.
So this past weekend when I was at UNC, we were playing this game called Wavelength, which is basically where you there's an app version and then also a physical version, but there's a scale, and there's 2 sides of it, and then there's an arrow.
I know that.
For those who don't, there's 2 sides of the scale. Picture a straight line, and on one is hot and the other end says cold. And then everybody closes their eyes except for one person, and they like spin the wheel, and wherever the little arrow is pointing on the scale between like from hot to cold, and then they'll like hide it, and then they have to give everybody one hint to guess like how far on the scale it is, either to the left or to the right, towards like hot or towards cold, or whatever the prompts are. And so we were playing this game, and one of the ones that I got was useless was on one side and useful was on the other, and I put a 2-prong fork. So I wanted to get your thoughts on, because it was very interesting listening to everybody talk about how they would define how useful a 2-prong fork was. Because, well, let me get your opinion, then I'll tell you mine.
Okay, Insomnia Cookies won't donate cookies to our dance.
Wow.
2-prong fork.
2-prong fork. Useful versus usefulness, or useful versus useless. Where would you put it?
Well, like for eating like a normal meal or just in general?
Just in general.
I would put it closer to the useless side.
And that's what I said. And a lot of people were like, no, that's like, they put it like if 1 was completely useless and 10 was like very, very useful, I had put it at like 2, like 1.5. Because in my head, I don't know why we also decided we need 2-prong forks. Because I'm not talking about like a fork that's like missing 2 prongs, but like a 2-prong fork is not like,
right.
It's the same thing that a 4-prong fork is. Like, why do we have multiple?
A 4-prong has extra hold, which is like more helpful.
I don't know what came first, the 2-prong or the 4-prong fork, but I am sure it was a similar timeline. But I categorized it as pretty useless. But they put it like 50-50. Like everybody kind of decided upon that.
Well,
so I just wanted your thoughts.
And I don't know, like maybe if this is like cancelable, but
probably
this was with the UNC crowd, and I always associate people who use forks other than a 4-prong fork to be rich and fancy,
right?
And so so that feels like maybe that like kind of clocks and makes a lot of sense that they find more value.
Well, some of them were from state, but yeah,
okay.
But I don't know, because we also another one we had was the conversation of a spork, and I think sporks are fine. Like I think you can use it, but I do think that the knife end of the spork never works.
Well, also, the prongs are not long enough on a spork to, like,
this is true.
Do anything. It's just a spoon. They just, like, wanted to feel better about it.
Yeah.
I'll call it something other than a spoon.
I, like, kind of get it if you're, like, going, like, camping or whatever, and you're not trying to bring, like, 70 different utensils, but it, like, the amount of times that I reach for a spork, given the option, are not very high. I usually just go for the fork.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I had one other notes app. Do you have any other notes apps?
I really have been thinking about ferrets lately.
I saw one yesterday.
Where?
Petco. I was at UNC and we were on the wait list to get our table. We had like 15 minutes to spare and there was a Petco down the street. So we walked to the Petco and you could look, there's a cat that I was playing with. It was just a super little tiny cat. And I was putting my fingers in the hole and it kept shoving its arms out to play with me. And then they had birds and they had fish. But the fish were just in cups. It was just like deli containers of fish. I was like, and then they had like easily 30 birds in this like 3x3 like cage. They were only $40 and they were buy one get one 50% off. Not sure how I love how we're
pricing
livestock, but whatever. And then they had ferrets. They had a whole thing of them. They were $500 though. And
I would invest. They're so cute.
I like how they like roll up into little cinnamon rolls when they sleep.
I love them. I like when they like frolic. I see videos of them on my Instagram For You page, and they like frolic in like little ball pits, and they're like, they're flopping all around and they're digging in the ball pit.
I like how their backs don't really have much of a spine, so it kind of just like
they are noodles.
They're just noodles.
Like if you grab it, it would just
it would make like a U.
You could just hold it like this,
like a purse.
Yes. Oh, I need it. But Joseph was telling me apparently they're very oily and stinky, and like when you hold them, their oil like and stink stays on your hands.
That's really delightful.
I know. Also, I'm getting calluses on my hands, and I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Oh, from the gym?
Yeah. Like from the weights.
I have a permanent callus on the right side of my pointer finger from like how I held a pencil as a kid.
I also have a callus right here.
Yeah. I have one.
I have a callus right here, so I don't know if that's...
Yeah. What time are we up?
53 minutes.
Okay, perfect. I have time for my last notes app.
Yeah.
I recently was reminded of the fact that apparently I did not have a very normal middle school experience. All middle schools, I feel like, is the most stories I ever have is probably from middle school and high school, but like, I was explaining to people some stuff that happened in middle school, and they were, like, actually bewildered.
Bewildered.
Let me give you some examples. One time, this kid brought in a bunch of weed and put it in all of the popular kids' lockers to get them in trouble.
Wait, genius.
And all of the popular kids were in my math class. That same math class, the teacher I was supposed to have at the beginning of the year wasn't there for the first, like, 3 months because she had a baby. And then she quit before she came back. And then we had a new sub every single day until probably March, when we got a sub that called a kid a negative word and then ripped my test in half because I told someone the date. And then the sub that came was not qualified to teach middle school. She was only qualified for K through 5. And she would talk about The Bachelor every day and was hitting on one of the kids in my class. So just to give you an idea, that same math class, so they, like, framed the kids for bringing in a bunch of weed. It was crazy. And then that same, like, week, someone, like, took the body of Axe spray and turned it into, like, a bomb and set it off. And the entire like, school smelled like Axe body spray.
Ew.
Forever.
But also that's so middle school core. They always be smelling. They either smell like these people have never put deodorant on in their life, or it smells like men's. Hello? My headphones just unplugged.
We had a gym teacher.
Okay, there we go.
Someone started a rumor that the gym teacher was going into the women's locker room and staring at them.
Oh my god.
Someone also got fired for sending nude photos. A teacher got fired for sending nude photos to a 7th grader.
We had a few teachers like that in our county. Yeah.
We had a kid get paralyzed during class because someone picked him up and threw him into the sink in the bathroom.
Well, of course.
Both of the kids ended up getting ISS for like a week, and that was it.
Me, when I get paralyzed, I'll also have to get ISS.
It was so crazy. I was like, what? Like, the kid, because it was, I was in the hallway when the kid got brought out on the stretcher, like on the rolly thing. And so I like went back to class and I was like, guys, I actually just like watched this kid get rolled out. I was like, what is going on? So like in the bathroom, the other guy who was like literally, it was crazy how many people were so old looking in middle school because they were both like 6 foot. One of them had a full beard and the other was like 200 pounds, 6'2". It was ridiculous. And he was like 14 and he picked up the other kid and he threw him into the sink so hard that the sink came off the wall. And then 2 of the discs in his back got like dislocated, so he was paralyzed for a couple weeks, like completely from the waist down.
We've all been there.
The one time there was a wedding for my water bottle,
right?
And so one of the kids in my class got married to my water bottle, and then I accidentally started a rumor that one of my friends was pregnant because the bit was that she had these like 2 sons, but they were like her pet rocks, and so I told everyone we were going to have a gender reveal, and the school counselor overheard me and thought that I was being serious, and so brought her in and was like, are you participating in activities that could get you pregnant? And she was like, she came to me, she was like so mad, like not actually mad, but like mad, funny mad.
We had
because I accidentally started a rumor she was pregnant.
We had somebody be pregnant in middle school.
We did too. We had a girl who got pregnant a few times.
Yeah.
It was the same girl.
It
was by her brother.
Did he get arrested or? Well, also that's not illegal.
It was her brother and then her brother's best friend. Damn. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Wait.
I'm waiting.
I think we might be able to have Zach the sound guy play at the contra dance. Zach the sound guy, I'm about to send you a DM, sister. You be on the lookout. Hey, girl. Hey, honey.
He does not listen to this.
No, he doesn't. And
he told me he doesn't like podcasts.
And that's okay. And that's great because I can say that we ran into him the other day. And also, it was sweltering outside and he was wearing pajama pants. And I was like,
king.
So aren't you sweating? But also, we met his little saxophone player friend.
He seems very nice.
And yes, but Zach was like, pointing to me, explaining to his saxophone friend. He was like, she's like, what did he say?
He said, she's like the leader of the club.
She's like
the dance club.
And I was like, yes, all my minions like to dance while I tell them what to do. Like, what? I'm the president of the club.
Well, it was funny because he also said dance club. I was like, King, you've worked it. You know it's called Contra.
Dance club. Like, let's go to the club.
Well, it also just made it sound like it was like an after-school program where we just like sat and danced with each other.
Oh my god!
It made me laugh. And then I was like, yeah, I also work for the club. I'm the treasurer, and like I kind of help put these things together. But whatever. Right. It made me laugh a lot.
He's funny.
He is.
He's also bad. So
true.
Eat true.
But yeah, middle school was crazy for me. I have some insane stories from middle school.
It's crazy out there.
Our middle school had a bit of a reputation. So, and not a good one.
Yeah.
But that's the public school system for you. High school, there's a lot of fights where like people's hair got ripped out of their head.
Well, of course. We've all been there.
Yeah, I've been there, done that. I watched a lot of those.
It was you causing all the fights.
Yeah, our sewer system exploded, so it smelled like sewage.
Disgusting.
Someone stole the bathroom door.
Right.
So there just wasn't a stall door on one of the stalls in the bathroom.
Right.
So, yeah.
Wow. You cannot pay me to go back to middle school. I wouldn't.
No, the worst years of my life.
Yeah,
genuinely.
Nasty in a bad way.
Oh my gosh, we also got like 2 or 3 weeks off in middle school because the pipes froze and exploded. Because our middle school was so old and no one ever did anything to fix it.
Yeah.
That it got cold and the water in the pipes froze and then exploded the pipe. So the entire pipe system that ran under one of the major sections of the middle school was just literally exploded. And so they shut down the middle school for a week and a half to rebuild it. And then it exploded again when we got back because they didn't take enough time to actually fix it.
Awesome.
So then we got out so we got literally 3 weeks off of school. And then it went right into winter break. So I didn't go to school for a month and a half.
I like that.
At one point.
I like that.
And then my year got cut short anyways because of COVID. So
Right. That was...
Thank God though.
Yeah, I'm glad.
I did not want to go on that DC trip, the infamous 8th grade DC trip. Did not want to go, and I didn't.
That does not sound fun.
It sounded awful, and there was so much. I remember there was just a ton of drama happening.
Right,
during the time. So I did not want to go in the slightest.
Yeah.
So it worked out for me.
So ha.
Yeah. Anyhow, make sure you follow us on the Instagram and DM us any questions or any topics you want to hear about. Next week we will not have a podcast episode. Sorry.
Because we're on Spreak.
Sounds like Sprite.
I like Sprite.
But we will be back the week after that. We are going to be transitioning to potentially a non-indoor space for an episode. So be on the lookout for that. Hypothetically, potentially, in theory. Any other exciting news? Low-key kind of sad because we're not going to be filming podcast episodes over the summer. So we only have 4 episodes left.
That's crazy.
Eater.
Maybe we can do more social media stuff.
We shall see.
Which means you should really, really super duper follow the podcast.
You should really at TWTS Pod. Our personal accounts are linked in the bio. Talk to us, DM us, like our stuff, make us famous. You know the deal. Because if we get famous, then we can continue it after we graduate. So.
Right. We don't have any money, so if you make us famous, then we can have money, and then we can buy podcast equipment, and then we can,
We go through the entire timeline.
Right. So then we're going to go ahead and, after 6 months after we graduate, we're going to go ahead and invest in better equipment. Because
we are here to tell you the truth.
Because they don't always get it right.
Bye, guys.